The shooting massacre at the high school in Parkland, Florida, is once again raising questions about gun violence in America. It comes more than 20 years after a gunman killed 16 grade school children and their teacher in Dunblane, Scotland, and forced Scotland and the entire United Kingdom to address gun violence there. Here's Roxana Saberi.
Good morning. The outrage over that shooting led to what became some of the strictest gun regulations in the world. We sat down with a man who campaigned for those laws. He now has a message for the young people calling for an end to school shootings in America. Each mass shooting in America echoes in the hills of Scotland, reminding Mick North of his own past.
You tend to pick up on things that relate to what's happened in your own life.
In 1996, he and other parents rushed to Dunblane Primary School after a gunman armed with 4 handguns opened fire there.
I'm absolutely numb. I just can't believe something like this has happened.
A teacher and 16 children were killed, including North's 5-year-old daughter, Sophie.
She was shot 5 times.
5 times. Among the survivors was future tennis star Andy Murray, who's still clearly affected.
I think everyone knows that I'm extremely proud of where I come from.
The shooting here devastated the town of Dunblane and the entire country and led to a nationwide campaign to ban private handguns. Within a year, North and other parents pushed politicians to pass some of the toughest gun legislation in the world. Today in Britain, all handguns and semi-automatic firearms are prohibited. You can only use manually loaded rifles and shotguns for hunting or hobbies at shooting clubs like this one in London.
So there's like 4 bullseyes of more.
Member Sherman Strobel says getting a gun license from the police can take months.
They check how many parking tickets you've had, whether you've ever had a drink and drive.
The police will also visit your home to make sure you store your gun in a safe like this and may ask your doctor about your mental health.
If you've had depression or anything like that, you will not get a firearms license, ever, which is probably a bit harsh.
But at Beretta Gun Shop in central London, General Manager Tim King says overall the regulations seem to be working.
I've been selling guns for 40 years legally, and as far as I know, in that 40 years, none of those guns have caused a problem. My customers have caused a problem.
22 years since the shooting in Dunblane, Britain has experienced only 1 deadly mass shooting, while the U.S. has had more than 75.
Our response in the UK matched the culture here, which is not one that particularly wants ownership of guns.
And the U.S.?
The US, I still don't understand what goes on in the US.
North has traveled to America to advocate for tighter gun control in the U.S.
What do we want? Change!
He now has a message for the Florida students calling for more action.
Keep reminding people what happened to you. Don't take any notice of people who say, well, you're only teenagers.
Do you think these kids can really make a difference?
I sincerely hope they can.
He wants them to know that while tragedy can tear families apart,
I'm sure she would have been proud of me.
it can also give people the power to create change. In 1996, the same year as the mass shooting in Dunblane, a gunman in Australia killed 35 people. That led the country to pass sweeping gun reforms. Germany did the same after school shootings in 2002 and 2009. In those countries, gun violence has not disappeared, but deadly mass shootings are very rare. Alex?
Roxana Saberi, thanks, Roxana. Of course, Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull was meeting with President Trump yesterday and was asked at a press conference about whether the U.S. should pursue some of Australia's reforms. There was kind of a rejection of casting similarities between the U.S.
Again, there was the
Australia.
different culture point, but there's a number of cases there that are worth looking at.